with your Olympic experience? You train your whole life for this one moment, and tell us more
Goodness.
about your moment.
Yeah, no, since I was 9 years old, 16-year journey actually, and had my mom as my coach actually for nine of those years before I moved to California and started swimming with the big kids and the top coaches in the world, and really, trained. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with synchronized swimming. I figured we'd see a slide of the SNL bit from back in the day on here. We did not stand on the bottom of the pool, I can assure you of that. But it was really difficult. We had, a lot of 12 hours a day of training was a very consistent thing. 8 to 12 hours, leaving the pool at 8, 9, 10, sometimes midnight. There were many of those days leading up to the Olympic year. And then my journey became a reality and a dream that I had, dreamt since I was a little girl. So 2000 was the Olympics I was in, and it was unbelievable. It was truly an experience. As you know, it really just sets you up for life, for your career, for the things that you're going to go through. There's so many ups and downs. And so I'm so thankful that I was able to go through it. 20 years, this will be our 20-year reunion coming up in the next month.
Happy early reunion. And that's a big one. I didn't realize your mom was your coach. What was that like? I can imagine the, potential conflict that could have created. My dad was
I was grounded a lot. I was grounded like every other week. No, it was honestly, it was one of the reasons. So my mom had started her club when I started the sport. It was a very random thing, and she became my head coach for 9 years, the first 9 years of my career. And she happily sent me off to California to train those last 6 years so that she could just be my mom and just root for me from the sidelines and not correct me at every turn. So I think that it really instilled a bond in us that is still there today, and I'm really thankful for it. But yes, there were many hard moments, a lot of talking back, and all of those wonderful things. So, but it's a special bond that we have.
We talk a lot about integrate at integrate is like overcoming the inevitable adversity, overcoming the inevitable moments, of failure, because we're not going to get everything right, but as long as we're learning and we're moving forward, that's what's most important. And by the way, that we're taking the risks, right? Because, we never want to be afraid to fail at something, right? Because that means we're not taking, enough risks and we're not really going for it. And one thing I enjoyed reading about your Olympic journey is that it wasn't all success. And I think it started off as maybe, but you had to regroup. Maybe tell that story.
Yeah. So I recently wrote an article about failure, and the story was about my journey at the Olympics. And in synchronized swimming, there's 2 team events. There's a
Carrie, you just went on mute.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So in synchronized swimming, there are 2 team events. There's a short program and a long program. And the short program was our first event. And, this is something obviously we had practiced over and over and over again. And I felt really confident about it. I felt ready. I was excited. Our team definitely, I would say, had the opportunity to medal at this Olympics. We knew it was going to be hard. We were in a very difficult, our sport is unfortunately subjective, right? There are judges. So I'm sure you can imagine that there's a lot of politics that come into play, unfortunately. So we knew it was going to be hard. We were not going to be handed this medal. It was going to have to be earned times a million. But the opportunity was there. So we dive in for the first move, and I put my leg up in the first move, as I did every time. And one of the things about a short program is it has to be the same. So there's never somebody doing something different. It has to be the same the entire time, or it's a penalty, essentially. And unfortunately, I stuck my leg up about a second and a half before everybody else on my team, which again, I describe in the article. It's kind of like, being a half second, late at the wall in speed swimming and losing out on the gold medal, or even being on the Olympic team, or a track runner, just not putting their body a fourth of an inch over that finish line, to win that medal. And, I went on for the rest of the program to swim it very flawlessly. We had a great swim after that, and we had a great long program swim. But that moment, I can tell you, here I am 20 years later, finally getting, I would say, the courage, even though this has been a article I have been trying to write for some time. I would say it was my therapy in a sense. But it was hard. I got out of the pool, my team did not know that I had made this very big mistake. It essentially could have been a 2-point penalty. They did not give us that, but they just took a lot of points off instead in our score. I remember going to the bathroom. I can still visualize the stall that I was in, and had my, personal breakdown, not in front of my competition, not in front of my team. I really wanted to have sort of a private moment to myself, before I even told my team. They had no idea, at the time. And then of course my coach informed them what had happened. And, I had a lot of really dark moments, of what could have happened. We ended up in 5th place, which was not obviously the goal. And it was hard. It was really hard. And I think for me, I was thinking the other day, the hardest moment for me was afterwards. My family was in the stands. So my mom, my grandmother, my brothers, my best friend, my sister-in-law, people that had supported me for so many years, so many sacrifices, even my brothers, the sacrifices that they had to in order for me to train the amount, and my mom to be away for the amount that she was a lot. And to see their faces after, and they didn't, it's hard to know who is who in the water in the sport. My mom knew it was me who made the mistake, but nobody else. They were kind of like, who made that mistake? Who made that mistake? And I just fell. I just can remember falling, into my grandmother's arms and my mom's arms. Still makes me emotional.
How have you used that moment? Obviously you're very successful now in your professional career. You're an entrepreneur. You started on. Do you ever draw back to that experience? And is there anything that you learned or that prepared you for life, either personally or professionally?
So many things, Jeremy. So many things. Even, for me, starting this company in the middle of a pandemic, which was not my goal, not my goal. I tell people it was that failure 20 years ago that allowed me to take this risk, because I'm not afraid. I was not afraid. If it doesn't work out, what is the worst that can happen? I go back to an amazing company, or another company, or wherever, and I continue my career. It gave me so much, I would say, gave me so much power over the years to be okay with failing, with creating a safe space, not only for myself, but for my peers, for my colleagues, to be able to, fall and then watch them get back up. And over the years, I've mentored, I've coached, I've, sponsored so many people over the years. And the biggest thing I tell them is we have to allow people to fail. That is where we are going to see the biggest growth in humans, is watching them pick themselves back up. But if we stop that and don't allow that to happen and control their every move so that it's perfect, they're going to be stagnant, right? They're going to be stagnant. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I know you have two kids, Taylor and Zoe. I have my first on the way, and lots of integrators have kids. But even if you don't have kids, we've all been children at one point, right?
Yeah.
And the interesting, I think, anecdote to your story or connection to what you just said is that we all come into life failing at everything
Yep.
as infants.
Yep.
Like our first step, we fall on our face, literally, right? Like, and it
Yep.
doesn't take till what 1,000, 10,000 steps until we learn how to walk. And think about learning the English language or whatever language we're speaking. We mutter all these crazy words that aren't correct, and if we were being judged, we would be judged. We were losing. We were failing. But the
Right.
difference is, like, at that age, we don't have an ego, right? So we can't
Right.
attach those failures to us. And maybe if infants had egos, they would take their first step, be like, oh, that's not for me. Like walking's
Yep.
not for me. So or the English. And I think that there is some wisdom to that in life of like, what is like failure? Like it has this wrong definition in our life and society of like, no, that's just how you learn, right?
It's exactly right. And I also say too, I mean, I think people sometimes attach failure with, oh, you're not working hard enough or work ethic. But I believe that it actually goes hand in hand. I mean, I firmly believe that a strong work ethic is what will help get you back up from your failure, right? So failure is okay if that work ethic is there and you have learned to persevere and get yourself back up. So I think that's so important. And I know with my kids who are in multiple sports, I'm chasing them around. It's, my life part. My second career is a Uber driver for my kids. They're chasing their dreams, and we talk about it all the time, how they have to be able, after a loss, a game loss, or, a swim meet, not taking time off. We have to be able to learn and think about, put some ownership on yourself, because that's part of failure too, is owning it. I've had to own this mistake for a long time, and I absolutely have owned it um, a million times over. I made it, nobody else did. And so, owning it, learning from it, growing from it, and moving forward and picking yourself back up.
I love it, and it's so cool that you can openly share that, because I think some people tend to hide it, right? Never want to talk. You wrote an article about it, like, I think it's important to share that message of it's okay to take risks. It's okay to fall
Yeah.
down. It's okay to,
Mm-hmm.
in the corporate world, hey, you are passionate about that idea. We
Yeah.
believe that it didn't work. That's okay. What did we learn from it? What can we take from it? And how do we use it to become stronger, not weaker, to
Right.
be better as a company, to be better as a business, to be better as a team?
Well, think about innovation. I mean, how do we think innovation is born? I think that if people are scared to give their opinion, or scared to speak up, or scared to throw out an idea that maybe isn't that great, we would never be able to be as creative, right, as we are. And I think it's so, again, goes hand in hand with innovation and being able to get that out of our peers and our colleagues. Everybody, just say what's on your mind and speak any of the ideas, even if it's, you think it's the dumbest idea ever. If somebody else might, sorry, somebody else might, take off with it and run with it, right? And that's why it's so, this idea of failure, it goes so far beyond, making a mistake and picking yourself back up. It's really so all inclusive to so many different things in our lives, whether it's performance, innovation, perseverance. I mean, it's work ethic, all of these things.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad idea, right? I
No,
mean,
there's not.
there really isn't. Some of the craziest ideas have turned into the best ideas. I mean, imagine Airbnb, right? Before you
Yep.
know what Airbnb was.
Yep.
Imagine saying, hey, I'm going to start a business where you blow up a mattress in your living room and people are going to rent it in your living room. And, or Uber, by the way, like that was hitchhiking. Like, I'm going to start a company where people like professionally hitchhike. I mean, these were
Right.
all crazy, crazy ideas that have now completely changed and reshaped the world that we live in.
And I've cried myself to sleep that I didn't think of them first every night.
Oh, so true. So let's transition into something that we're really passionate about: diversity and inclusion. And
Yeah.
when George Floyd was murdered, we as a company, we really leaned in to uncomfortable conversations, conversations that we typically wouldn't have or say out loud as a team, talking about Black lives and how much they matter, thinking are we doing enough at Integrate for Black lives specifically, and saying those words where typically we probably would try to avoid the topic because it can be, you know, uncomfortable. We instituted the Rooney Rule, which we borrowed from the NFL, which requires us now to interview at least one Black candidate for every leadership position that we have. That's not going to solve the world's problems. We get it. We understand it.
No.
But we want to take steps and be good citizens and forge a path forward of a better future. Would love to know your thoughts on that specific topic, you know, BLM, and then maybe we can broaden it to more diversity, more inclusion. How do we as businesses, as leadership teams, as board of directors, how do we think about this, and how do we do a better job? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So first of all, this has been, I mean, it's been an unbelievably emotional time. I would say, you know, I personally have had a lot of really open, honest, transparent conversations with my Black friends and community who I respect very, very much. I've listened a lot. I've been shown, I feel like, so much grace, and I'm really appreciative of that because I felt as though I've been an ally since I was a little girl. But what I've learned is there's no perfect ally, and I don't believe that that is even a possibility. So I love that you guys have, you know, at least started the process of instilling some measures to make sure that voices are heard, and that there's some action behind it. My experience with diversity inclusion from a corporate standpoint was from an executive recruiting standpoint, so hiring executives into the firm. I helped lead the strategy around that. And one of the things I learned is, number one, how important it is to actually be connected to our diverse community within the firm. Talk to them, listen to them. Why are they here? And how are we going to get others to follow? And then also really beyond that, because we can hire top diverse talent, but we've got to be able to retain them, right? Retaining is so key to the success of all of this. So sponsoring our top diverse talent is incredibly important. Making sure we're plugging them into success and helping them, guiding them to success, and keeping them apprised of everything, giving them the tools and all of that. It's such an all encompassing thing. It doesn't just stop the second we hire somebody. We have to be able to sponsor and we have to be able to sponsor and retain them. So that has been my experience, and it's really hard. It is really hard. And this is not a one-stop shop. This is not something that is going to be solved, but I'm so thankful that we're at least taking these steps to make a difference, because it's what needs to happen. It's the right thing to do. And we need so many different voices at the executive level, because that is how systemic racism is going to be changed, right? That is how it will be changed over time.
Are you optimistic?
I am. I am. I think that we're at a place where voices are being heard. I really hope. My biggest fear is that I want people to be able to ask all the questions. I want people to feel safe to open up and to bring, whether it's negative feedback or positive feedback. We need to listen, and I don't want people feeling shamed, right? That is my biggest thing over the last 5-6 months that I've really felt. And the most successful conversations have been where people do not feel shamed. They feel safe and they feel allowed to speak their truth.
I think I'm encouraged from that perspective, just upon reflection of like the conversations that I think we're having are long overdue, are maybe becoming less uncomfortable because they shouldn't be uncomfortable in the sense of like, how do we solve this, or how do we contribute to a
No.
solution? And I think that these things, I wonder if software can help solve some of these things. I mean, I think like we've hired lots of executive recruiting firms, and of course we have executive recruiters at Integrate, and I always like find myself asking the question, how do we fish outside the ponds that we're already in, whether us internally or the executive recruiting firm? And I just wonder if software could help contribute to getting us, to other ponds to fish in that has more diversity and inclusion, and maybe that could help contribute to the solution. Because oftentimes it's not that there's someone out there that wouldn't be perfect for the role,
Right.
and bring diversity of thought, diversity of
Right.
diversity of race, diversity of economic background, all these things that you want. But oftentimes you just don't, maybe you're just fishing in the same ponds you're always fished in.
Always. I mean, I think too, that comes back to innovation, getting creative. I think it goes back to, I know for me, when I left EY, I will say I was really surprised. I've had an amazing support system within the diverse community. And I was thinking about it, and not because it didn't surprise me. I just was like trying to reflect on, why is that? And what have I done over the years, except for be myself and be transparent and honest, ask for feedback. And I feel like all of those things were key and also just being inclusive, right? I mean, my natural state is being inclusive and wanting to hear how people feel, being empathetic to their thought process, and wanting to understand people better, just humans in general. I've always had like such a curious mindset about why people feel the way they feel, why people approach things the way they approach them. That's always been a curiosity to me, and I really feel like people feel they feel safe, right? We have to make people feel safe in their communities, at work, in their personal lives, all of it.
That's got to be a top priority. By the way, one of our teammates, Sean Weglich, said that his wife, then Wendy Fogel, now Wendy Weglich.
She's running upstairs to say hi to you.
Oh, please,
Coming up from the basement.
Oh, hi, Wendy. Oh, I love her.
Small world.
It's so crazy. I swear the world is extremely small. It's extremely small.
So, you have 2 kids. It's back to school time. I also understand that your husband, Dan, is a teacher. And, there's a lot going on in the world with COVID. What are the conversations like around this topic at the dinner table inside your fam?
At the dinner table, how about like right now, as my kids are in virtual learning, going, Mom, and I'm like, I'm on a Zoom. I mean, let's get real. My goodness. I mean, it's a lot, so my husband is actually doing virtual. So we're in virtual mode right now. But my husband has to be at the school. So he's at the school, and I've got the 2 kids. I've got a tween and a teenager. It's good times. in virtual learning. And yesterday I posted a picture on social media and my head was like buried on my desk, like behind a computer. And literally it was like, I think mom was yelled from upstairs no less than 60 times. And I'm like, how is this happening? What is going on? So, it's, again, I go back to that perseverance, that perseverance theme,
Right.
and patience, and go, okay, this is not going to last forever, please, I hope. And we're going to be okay. And, I just threatened their lives a little bit today. It's fine. So.
Carrie, Wendy's here to say hi.
Aw,
how are you? It's so
I
good to see
swear,
you.
what a small world.
I know.
What a small world. Oh, I miss my EY family so much, and I'm always so grateful for the training ground that EY afforded me, and really the entrepreneurial spirit that EY instilled in me and supported for all of these years. So, and I can't wait to go back someday.
We can't wait to have you back. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Everything is going good. Everything is going good. And I'm so thankful to have these opportunities to talk to such wonderful companies and just share my experiences for what it's worth. Like I made a joke. I said, sorry, it's not Brandy Chastain. It's just Carrie Garten.
Oh no, we couldn't be more thrilled to have you. And hi, Wendy. Good to meet you. Good to
nice
see
to
you.
meet you as well.
Yeah, we're big fans of your husband. So thanks for letting us borrow him when he's not at home.
Yeah. No problem.
But Carrie, thank you so much for stopping by. It's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to hear your story. You are fearless, and I love that. And we wish you the very best of luck in your journey as an entrepreneur in this crazy time. And thank you for all the work that you have done and continue to do on D&I. And we wish you and your family all the best. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everybody on here. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.